Men and women come to the Protection from Abuse office for assistance with applying for a protection order or PFA order. Parents or guardians may apply on behalf of children. The goal of the PFA office is to help you through the process of applying for a protection order and send you to the courtroom with your paperwork so the judge can decide if an order should be granted.
A protection from abuse order, often referred to as a PFA, is a court order designed to protect a victim of domestic violence from future harm. Most PFA orders have a no-contact provision which prohibits the person the order is filed against from contacting the other person anywhere they may be found, including home, work, or school. The person filing the PFA is called the plaintiff, and the person being filed against is called the defendant. A PFA order can protect you in many ways.
In Pennsylvania, there are 3 different types of protection from abuse orders. The first is the emergency PFA. If you need immediate protection when the courts are closed, such as at night or on a weekend or holiday, a local magisterial district judge has the authority to grant an emergency PFA order.
To obtain an emergency PFA, you go to the first floor of the courthouse after 6 p.m. during the week and anytime weekends and holidays. You'll fill out some paperwork and then speak with a magisterial district judge on duty to determine if you meet the criteria. An emergency PFA can only be issued if there is a proper relationship to the defendant and if there is an immediate threat of harm to you or minor children. If an order is granted, it must be taken to your local police department for service on the defendant. It is not in effect until it is served. An emergency PFA is only valid until 4 p.m. the next business day when the Court of Common Pleas is open.
The second type of protection order is called a temporary PFA. When a person comes in to file for a temporary PFA, they sign onto the computer, fill out intake paperwork giving information about themselves and the person they're filing against, the most recent incident that occurred, any past incidents of abuse, and what relief they're asking the court to grant them. It is important to answer the intake questions as completely as possible. Be prepared to spend some time at the courthouse to complete the entire process. If you have visible injuries, staff can send you to the district attorney's office to get photographs taken so that at the time of the final hearing, you have evidence of the injuries which may no longer be visible. After you complete the PFA paperwork, you go from the PFA office to the courtroom.
When you come to the courtroom, the procedure will vary slightly depending upon which judge is assigned to your case. In my courtroom, when you come in seeking a PFA order, you are placed under oath, and we will have a conversation on the record about the PFA petition. I ask questions necessary to clarify unclear portions of the petition or to discuss relevant details that you may have unintentionally omitted in the petition. This exchange is almost always conducted without the defendant and is called an ex parte hearing. Some of the things that I may ask include whether the defendant threatened you with a firearm, if you reside with the defendant, whether you own the home, or if the home is leased, whose name is on the lease. If custody is requested, I will ask if you have the children with you currently, and whether there is an existing custody order in place with respect to the defendant. After a brief hearing, I will either grant or deny a temporary order. If I enter a temporary order, I will advise you generally about the order's terms and the date of the final hearing, which will be scheduled to occur within 10 business days. You must attend the hearing. I will let you know that both you and the defendant will have an opportunity to be heard and present evidence. I will also advise you that you should talk to someone at Safe Berks about the possibility of free legal representation at the final hearing. If the person allegedly abused is under the age of 18, a parent, adult household member, or guardian must come in and file for them. If a minor has no appropriate adult to come in with them, he or she can request that the judge review their petition and appoint an attorney to act as a guardian ad litem to file on their behalf.
When you leave the courtroom, you bring your paperwork to the prothonotari's office, which is located on the second floor of the Berks County Courthouse. The prothonotari's office will briefly review your documents, give them a docket number, timestamp them, and then enter them into a statewide registry. This registry will allow the Pennsylvania State Police and any other law enforcement agencies in the Commonwealth to review the terms of your PFA order. Once this is complete, we will keep the original order and we will give you your copies to take to the Sheriff's Department located on the third floor of the courthouse.
After the pathonetary's office, you come to the sheriff's office located on the 3rd floor of the courthouse, where we take one of the time-stamped copies for the deputies to serve personally on the defendant. We may ask some additional questions to help us locate the defendant so that they can be served before the date of the final hearing. You keep the remaining copies for yourself, your attorney, and for your local police department. A deputy sheriff will attempt to serve the defendant during the day, at night, over the weekend, at home, at work, or anywhere else the defendant can be found. The defendant will be advised to appear for the final hearing.
The third type of PFA order is a final PFA order, which can last up to 3 years and can be extended under certain circumstances.
It is important to seek legal representation and to appear for your final PFA hearing. At the final hearing, if the defendant does not agree to a final PFA order, a hearing can be held where both sides present evidence and witnesses. After a hearing, the judge will make a decision to grant or deny the PFA order according to the law. At any point during the PFA process, if there is a PFA order in effect, a violation can result in criminal prosecution.
If there is a violation of the PFA order, you can call 911. Violating a PFA is indirect criminal contempt. The defendant can be arrested, charged criminally, fingerprinted, and may be held in jail until they appear before a judge. If found guilty of violating a PFA order, a defendant can be fined, placed on probation, or jailed for up to 6 months.
A good resource to help you throughout this process is Safe Berks. Safe Berks is the agency in Berks County that provides services to victims of domestic and sexual violence. All the services offered by Safe Berks are free and confidential and offered in both English and Spanish. Safe Berks employs specially trained legal advocates who can provide you with support, information, assistance, and legal advocacy in your PFA case or in cases where criminal charges have been filed against your abuser for crimes of domestic or sexual violence against you. A protection from abuse order case is a lawsuit against your abuser. Safe Berks has full-time attorneys on their staff who specialize in PFA cases. The Safe Berks attorneys may be available to represent you for free if your case qualifies for their services. To apply for legal representation, you must call the Safe Berks Legal Department to request an appointment with one of our attorneys. In addition to their legal advocacy and representation services, Safe Berks also has an emergency 30-day shelter program, counseling services, a 24-hour hotline, and a text line. All services are free, confidential, and available in English and in Spanish.
PFA orders protect people related by blood, marriage, or who have had an intimate relationship. If you do not have one of these relationships, you may qualify for a sexual violence protection order or a protection from intimidation order. If you are unsure what type of petition to apply for, talk to someone from Safe Berks for options counseling. A PFA brochure describing the PFA process in more detail is available on the Family Court website at www.countyofberks.com or in the PFA office. When people come to the PFA office, they're treated respectfully and their questions are answered. We're here to help everyone.
As this video concludes, please see the list of community agencies and resources that are also available to assist you.